Hi everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be learning about mixed operations, which means we'll be solving expressions that use more than one operation in the correct order. And if you haven't watched the part 2, which is on the properties of operations, please I will encourage you to watch that first, because these properties are essential for simplifying mixed operations. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, I will encourage you to do that. Subscribe to the channel, put on a notification bell so that you'll be able to receive more lessons or be able to get access to new lessons when uploaded. I assure you that by the end of this lesson, you'll be able to use the correct order of operations in math expressions. You'll also be able to apply the PEMDAS to solve problems with multiple operations. And then you should be able to simplify expressions with numbers and variables. You should also be able to use math properties to make complex problems easier, like the associative property, like the commutative property, like the distributive properties, and like the identity properties. You'll be able to use them to make complex problems easier. And finally, you should be able to connect mixed operations to real life situations. Alright, so let's get right into today's lesson. We are going to look at the application of everything we've learned so far. And in mixed operations, it can look very tricky at first, but if you follow the correct order and use the properties that we've learned so far, you can solve them easily. And always try to work out step by step. Don't rush, and check your answers using the various properties that we've learned so far. So the first step is to review PEMDAS. And we know that this is the rule that tells us which operations to do first. So the PEMDAS is the operations that tells us what we are supposed to do first. So if you have an expression, you have to look for these items or these things before you start or resume working on the expressions. So the first thing to look out for is the expression having a parenthesis, which is the P. Is there anything inside brackets? If there is, then that is what you're going to do first. Do we have exponent or powers or squares of numbers or cube of numbers? We have to do that second if there is. In case there is no parenthesis, we move to the next point. That is the exponent. In case there is no exponent, or in case there is and you are done working on it, then you move on to the third one, which is multiplication or division. And remember, we always move from left to right. So it means that if we have something in a multiplication form where maybe we have 5 times 2 divided by 3. So in here, that is what it's talking about. You move from left to right. So you have to solve this first, and then that gives us 10 before you divide by what? The 3. So this is the from left to right what it means. So assuming that you have something like let's say 6 divided by 6 divided by, let's say, 2, then times let's say 3. So in here you are to start from left to right. So you do the division first, you get a 4, then you multiply by 3, which gives us what? 12. So this is what we are talking about. And the same way applies to the addition and subtraction, also from left to right. So if addition comes first and then next to subtraction, they'll do addition first to right. If subtraction comes first, answer the subtraction before you move to the addition. And remember, always follow this order carefully, or you will get the wrong answer, or you will not get the right answer. And without PEMDAS, different people could get different answers to the same problem. So PEMDAS is very, very important. And then as we dive into look at some examples, that is basically the numeric and the variable examples, please remember this, that we'll be applying this in the lesson so much. All right, so let's move on to solving numeric problems. So we have the first example to be 6 plus 3 times 2. So according to the PEMDAS, what you have to do is to what? To multiply first. So we start with 3 times 2 because the PEMDAS is very, very important. And then if you know it, all the problems are solved. So before you start, you can decide to write the PEMDAS, just any part of your work, and then it will help you to remember which one to do and which one not to do. All right, so here we go. So the first, there is no parenthesis, there is no exponent, so the next thing is what? Multiplication. We have multiplication, so you multiply first. 3 times 2 gives you 6, then 6 plus 6 gives you what? 12. So as you can see, this is exactly what you are supposed to do. So 3 times 2 equals a 6, and this, you bring down this 6 here, then you add it, you get 12. Example number 2. So we have 4 plus 3 in a bracket times 2. So in here, there is what? P. So what you do is that there is a parenthesis or there is a bracket. You do the bracket first, that is it, giving you what? 7, and then you multiply it by the 2. So you bring down these 2 here, and this is it. Then you get 14. All right. I believe that we are following. So the third examples, we have 10 divided by 2 plus 4. Here we have what? There is no parenthesis, there is no exponent, there is no multiplication. Is there any division? Yes, we have division. So you can decide to put this into bracket anyway because that is the first to do. And then 10 divided by 2 is 5. This is it. Then you add the 4, giving you 9. So 10 divided by 2, this is it. And then we have the 4, you bring the 4 down, sorry. Then it gives us what? The 9. All right. So notice how PEMDAS tells us which step to do first. And working step by step makes everything clear. So it is very important for us to understand these numeric problems. So let's zoom on to the variable problems or working with variables. So the PEMDAS is still working here. So the first one is 2x plus 3y times 2. 2x plus 3y times 2. So in here we have the PEMDAS also still applicable here. So you put it down, and then it helps you to remember which one to do first and which one to do next. So always try to remember the PEMDAS when you are given any multiplication, addition, subtraction, or division problems. So we have these expressions. Remember, it doesn't have equal to sign. So it is an expression. You have 2x plus 3y times 2. So first you multiply first, so you group it into this. You can decide to put here, since you are doing this, you can decide to put it into bracket to get a parenthesis. Then 3y times 2 give us 6y. So we have the 6y, then the result is now added to 2x. So we have 2x, which of course comes first, then plus the 6y. You know addition is commutative, so either you can write it 6y plus the 2x. It doesn't change anything because we know addition is what? Commutative. So you can either have this answer or this answer. All right. Then this is another one which have a plus b times 3. If you remember the properties that we learned, you will remember in part 2 of this video the distributive properties, which we are to distribute, which tells us that you what? You share this among those in the bracket. So you share it, as you can see here. We have the 3 is sharing among what? The 2 in the bracket. Remember, there's a bracket attached to this. And then a plus b, so it's going to give us 3 times a plus 3 times b. So 3 times a is 3a, and then 3 times b is 3b. So this is the diagram representative of the expressions or the problem above, and this is the solution. Since 3a plus 3b, we cannot add them, we leave the answer as such. Now example number 3, we have 12 divided by x plus y. Since we have division, remember the PEMDAS, there is no bracket, there is no parenthesis, there is no exponent, there is no multiplication, there is division. So we move on to, you can put this side into bracket, and then you do what is here. So 12 divided by x is the same as 12 divided by x, because x is a variable and then it's a known number. So since you cannot do that division problem, you just then add the y. So 12 divided by x, then you add the y to it. It still gives you the same answer as what? 12 divided by x plus what? Y. Okay. So with these steps, it's helping us to understand the step-by-step calculations of these expressions, which help us to what? To make or prevent mistakes, help us to get right answers, solve correctly, and also to prevent us in making mistakes. And it makes it easier to simplify these expressions. So how then? So using the math properties, you see, like the distributive properties, to simplify expressions before what? Solving them. So most of the times we need to understand is that if there is any expression that needs to be what? Simplified, then we have to do that. So when you look at 5 times what? Into bracket 2 plus 4 and then plus 3, we first use the distributive property where we use the 5 to distribute among this in the bracket, then 5 times 2, then 5 times 4, which gives us 10 plus 20. So this is 10. Then we have 20 here. Okay, so this is 10 plus 20. Then you add what? The 3, this 3 to it, and then it gives us what? 33. All right, give us 33 here. So this is the distributive property in solving and simplifying expressions before solving them. So anytime you see something in this format, please remember that sometimes you might not see the times here. Sometimes you can see it as 5, then the bracket will come like this, then 2 plus 4. So if you have something like this, you can go by this same method or the distributive property method. And then there's another thing you can also do here. Since we learned about the PEMDAS, which is the order at which work should be done, we have the parenthesis or the bracket here. So you can finish with the bracket 2 plus 4, which gives us 6. Then after that, you multiply it, because remember, anything written in this form means what is outside is multiplying what is inside the bracket. So sometimes you might not see the multiplication sign there, but you see it written in this format. Don't be panicked or don't get panic. Just understand that anything written in this form is still saying 5 times what is inside the bracket. So then you have the 5 times what is inside the bracket, then you add it to what is outside. So 5 times 6 is 30, and 30 plus 3 is 33. That we get here. All right. So we realize that using these properties make it easier to solve what complex expressions step by step. All right, so let's look at some real life problems, okay? I think we've seen some of these things in the previous lesson. So if you haven't watched that, please do well to watch that. And then thanks for following with me even to this time of understanding mixed operations. So when you have shopping, maybe 3 skirts at $20 plus $10 tax each. So you have 3 shirts which cost $20. Then you added $10 each of what you buy. So what it means is that since you are buying 3 shirts and the 3 shirts cost $20, and then you are giving a tax of $10 on each of the shirts. So what it means is that 3 is going to multiply for you to make your payment in a normal sense. Okay, you have to first of all get the $20, which is the cost of the how do you call it, the dress or the shirt, and then you multiply that by 3 shirts, because 1 shirt costs $20. So you multiply by 3 shirts, which gives us $60. So you have your $60. I'm using the normal sense calculations, okay? And then we have 10 tax per each, which of course is 30. So that is 3 times what? 10, which gives us 30. Okay. So now after getting the 30, just add it to know how much you are paying for the total, for the cost of the 3 shirts. So that of course gives us the 90. So in mathematical sense, and in this, using the distributive properties that we've learned so far, it is also written as 3 times the 20, which is the cost, each cost of the dress or the shirt, plus the $10, which is the tax for each of the dress. So you can either solve the inner one first, which gives us 30, and then you multiply by the 3, which gives us what? 90. Or you can do it using the distributive property. 3 will multiply 20, and then the same 3 will multiply the 10. So 3 times 20 is 60, and then we have 3 times 10 is what? 30. So if you add, because of the addition, you add the 60 to 30, you get what? The 90 here. All right, so we see how simple it is in our real life, even in the kitchen, okay? When you are cooking, maybe you have uh, 2 plus 3 times 4 cups of flour equals 20 cups total. So what it means is that if you are to, add 4 cups of flour, maybe twice, and then another thrice, this is how you're going to represent this in a mathematical language. And this basically tells us that you're going to multiply this using the distributive property method, by remembering that we can equally use the PEMDAS to arrive at the answer here by adding what is in the bracket, which is 5, and then times the number of caps, which gives us what? 20 caps in total. Or you can use the 4 to multiply the 2, which gives us what? 8, and then the 4 to multiply the what do you call it, the 3, which gives us 12. So when you add the 12 plus the 8, we are going to get what? The 20. All right. So that is it. How we apply this in our daily lives. So building walls, mass helps. You have 4 walls, and then you add 2 extra. Each 3 meters long is going to give us these expressions. 4 walls plus 2 extra, each meters long should be 3. So when you do that using the distributive method and then using the PEMDAS method, you are going to get what? 18 meters in total, because 3 times 4 is 12, and then 3 times 2 is 6. So you add it, then you're going to give you the, what do you call it, the correct answer to be 18. All right, so this is it, using the PEMDAS to solve more and more of these problems. So now look at these expressions. Which one or which of these expressions are solved correctly using the order of parentheses? Select all that what applies. So you have to go through these check-ins, solve this, and see which one is right. Now we have addition and division. So the first thing is to start with division. 6 divided by 3 is what? Is 2, sorry. So we have 2 here, and then plus 15 is 17. So we realize that this is solved correctly. Now let's look at this. We have bracket here, so we have 8 minus 3, which gives us 5, and then times 4, which of course gives us what? 20. Okay, this one is also correct. So this one is correct. This one is correct. So now let's go on to 12 divided by 4 plus 2 times 0. So remember there's multiplication here, but remember we are solving from left to right, so we start with division here. So 12 divided by 4 is 3. And then we have plus 2 plus these 2, then times 0. So plus 2 times 0, remember that here too we have to use the PEMDAS, so, or the order. So 2 times 0 first before you come to addition. So 2 times 0 is 0. So since it is 0 plus 3, give us 3. But this one is not 3, it's 5. So this one is wrong. And then we have the next one to be 9 minus 4 plus 2 times 3. Remember, there's minus, there's addition, there is what? Multiplication. So we do multiplication first. So this one gives us 6. And then from there, we have plus and then minus. So 9 minus 4 plus 6. Remember, we do from left to right. So 9 minus 4 is 5. So we have 5, and then plus 6, which gives us what? 11. Okay. So it means this one is also correct. All right. So this is how we apply the rules of, PEMDAS that we've learned so far, and then we move on as such. So sorry, this one is also correct, as we have seen in the previous lesson. Okay, so that is it for this video. And then so far, always follow the PEMDAS, which is the parentheses, exponent, multiply, divide, add, subtract, from left to right. And then try as much as possible to use the various properties of the operations: commutative property, associative property, the distributive and identity property, to simplify expressions step by step without skipping. And then you should also be able to work step by step for numbers and variables using the same rules. And then you should also be able to use these skills in our real life situations like shopping, cooking, or even in building. So this is basically where our lesson for today have brought us, and I encourage you to keep practicing and then keep working. And if you haven't watched the part two, go back first to review the properties. Practice these miss operations step by step. And then if you haven't, like and subscribe to the channel, do that. And then hit the notification bell so you don't miss any part or any new lessons that is uploaded onto the channel. Please practice exercises and real life problems. Solving this is the guide. Always make sure to keep practicing, and then always make sure to reach that standard of becoming a great mathematician. See you in the next lesson. God bless you. Bye bye.